Hello, this is Buildershed here, and today I want to talk about Debian-based distros versus Arch-based distros. Arch and Debian-based distros are practically right now the most common types of distros out there. If they're based on anything, they're usually based on either Arch or Debian, and people like to argue which are Debian-based distros or Arch-based distros better, like the pros and cons of both. I want to discuss something like that. This is just something that needs to be discussed. Like, first of all, it's kind of the obvious part, and rather if you should go, and the idea of rather if a distro like Ubuntu or Pop OS would be more preferable for you, or if a distro like Endeavor OS, Manjaro, or even Arch itself would be more preferable for you. So let's get into it. So right here I have two distros right here open up. One's a Debian based distro and another's an Arch based distro. Thought about Manjaro until I remembered I got rid of my Manjaro VM to make space on a hard drive. So yeah. So here is so I got Endeavor OS on this side. So I think the first thing to discuss is probably the main difference between Arch and Debian. One of the big differences, and that is stability and how versions are laid out, etc., etc. If so, I'm pretty sure everyone knows about this already. Arch distros are rolling a release, which means everything that's in the package manager is like the most state of the art most update version of that program you can find. Same if you go with the AR. For example, no matter what Arch distro you're on, you're probably more likely, if you install GNOME, you probably are more likely on GNOME 40 already, and you've probably been on GNOME 40 since it released. Same with Gentoo, etc., etc. Gentoo's not Arch based, obviously. Yeah, I'm just Gentoo user, but even that, Arch based distros, when they're usually when a distro is rolling release, you should always expect less stability. It doesn't mean it's going to be heavily unstable. No, no, no. I've never had a stability issue with Arch, or rarely have. Really had a stability issue with Gentoo, but if you're really, really focused on stability, and support stability is really your main focus, or if you're in like a more of a, let me say, a what is the term? Oh, if you're more of like a business area, you're looking for Linux put on a business machine or something, then a Debian based distro would be greater for you because support, where it goes on, many distros like Ubuntu have long term support versions, which they're usually supported for years, like at the most like 5 years, but last time I heard. And usually many packages are not the full on latest. For example, GNOME on Ubuntu, which is a Debian based distro right now, is on 3.38, as you can see. Wall. If I were to hold on. Get back over here. So, meanwhile, over here is GNOME 40. So, yeah, basically web and stuff down here. Over here it's 3.38. Over here it's 40. This more the latest version, and half your extensions are not updated yet, but a lot of people like this type of stuff because they experiment more and sometimes newer software is better than the older versions. You got to go with that too. Some applications like Wine, a newer version's more likely going to provide better support. So some people, if they want state of art things, they go for this. But if they want to be on an older version, a little bit of an older version behind, to wait for that program to be confirmed to be stable and stuff, and I'd say go with Debian, like deep-based distros. They're best for enterprise. Yeah, that's fine. The word. They're best for enterprise business use, more likely if they're Debian based. And they're also pretty dang good for beginners, but Arch distros are pretty good for beginners too. The next difference has to be package management. So over here is Ubuntu. Let me try popping up in the terminal. Oh boy. So you got Ubuntu here. For Ubuntu, it's sudo, as well as Debian based distros, it's sudo apt install. Sometimes you may see apt-get, but short it down to apt install for like installing packages. And the name of the package, gnome tweaks or something. You know, I just spelled tweaks incorrectly. Yeah. Gparted, which, screw it, why not? And then you got .deep files, DEBs. Like, let me get one off the internet here for this one to show y'all. So here's Firefox. Let me just go to, let's just drop Google Chrome on this baby, if you know what I mean. Save it. Save it and you, yeah, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and yep. And you just click on that open file, or you just type in a command there. That isn't even hard to do. Let me just pop on tweaks for a second. I need to fix something. Oh my. Says up here it's opening up this, and you click install or type, or like I said, type the command there. And of course you need to type in your password. So Debian distros, usually they're, first of all, their repositories for their main package manager are usually larger. Sure, but you also got DEB files you can download from the internet and install as if they were like exe installers or something. I'd say they're pretty comparable to .msi files on Windows, if you know what I mean, which are practically installer files on Windows. But when you go over to Arch, first of all, there, you do sudo pacman -s install package, as well as naming the package, so awesome, because why not? Like, it's already up to date. Just type in no right there. So So if there's anything to really, the Arch's Pacman's main repositories are smaller, but the thing, but here's the thing, you got the AUR. Let's just change directory to the program directory I made, and here's how you normally make a package on Arch Linux without any AUR helper. So you do git clone, and then ar.archlinux.org/ and name of the package, so par-git, and then just top it off a .git. cd par-git, and then make package-si. Not that hard. AR helpers make it even easier though. And here's it's installing Rust. So while we wait for that part to get done, oh my. And while it's doing that, receiving objects, yeah. And I'm going to be honest here, I like how Pac-Man and this type of and Arch, like how their package manager installation looks like. So that so I think I already had par on here, maybe by chance. And the AUR is really big actually. If it's not in the normal Arch repositories, it's probably in the AUR. Google Chrome's in the AUR, Steam's in the AUR, a lot of your favorite programs that are on Linux are in the AUR. As well as a lot of amateur programs like that on other distros you need to do git clone and sudo make install are in the AUR. So that's a big plus on Arch's side. I don't know why that's taking forever. Overall speed, though, I think one thing to mention here is that Arch distros, from what I've seen, usually tend to be more on a minimal side, minimalist towards an area. Or like they tend to be a bit more minimal inside. Like not have as much stuff bloated into them, unlike Debian-based distros, which have a lot of software packed right into them. Like, but really isn't much, because like a lot of Arch distros come with a lot of stuff, and a lot of Debian-based distros come with a lot of stuff. But there's also a lot of Arch distros that don't come with much stuff, and a lot of Debian distros that don't come with much stuff. You get what I'm saying, right? So, really, like, it's more of like a per distro type of thing if you're talking about bloat. And for many people, bloat is subjective, like an opinion. So it's really up to you what you would consider bloat. I'm not that much of. I don't care much about bloat compared to many of the Linux elitists out there, which are pretty picky about bloat. But again, bloat is subjective. They tend to not like to keep as much bloat on their computers, and that's okay. If you don't like bloat, that's okay with you. Go ahead and get rid of the bloat. Don't choose something that's less bloated. If you don't care much about bloat, like me, you can go with the bloat. It's up to you. So, overall, speed though, Arch-based distros usually have the upper hand speed-wise, in my opinion. But usually both the types of distros are quite fast. I don't know a clear winner in the speed department. Well, Arch distros have been shown before to be quite fast, but so have many Debian based distros. It's up to you. Now to the final, not to the part that's right before the final part, and that's good old compatibility. I'd say both are pretty good in the compatibility area. But most developers, like if you're talking about outside developers, like people that just, like if you're talking about proprietary developers, if you really depend on proprietary software and crap like that, like it's most likely to go to come on Debian based distro first. And if you need proprietary software for some reason, which you can always switch to open source software, and I heavily support switching to open source software. You could do more with it, and it also takes the burden of cost off your hands. But if you really need proprietary software for like a job or something or something else that really wants you to use proprietary software, then if it ever comes to, if any proprietary software is on Linux, it's more than likely going to come as a .deb file first, because it's not going to be on GitHub for you to git clone into a directory and make it and use sudo make install on it. Like, it's not going to be on GitHub for you to do that, more likely. It's going to be available as a .deb package, but there's also a really good chance it's in the AUR as well. Also, when games are reported to Linux, they're usually tending to be ported and tested on Ubuntu-based distributions. So that's that. But usually, you should probably expect them to also. But usually they work on other distros quite fine though. Really, if I'm really saying anything here, well, I forgot one thing: support. Both distros are really good support. Arch-based distros have the Arch Wiki, which is really good. If you need any help, I'd say check there first. The RFM people, read the manual people. They actually got a point, if you actually think about it. The Arch Wiki has a lot of stuff in it. And can really help you out. But that really goes, and when you're running an Arch-based distro, you got the Arch Wiki. Arch elitists really are not that far off from the truth at all when they like to claim their distro is the best. But doesn't mean Arch is the best? No. I'm going to take a piece of word from good old Mental Outlaw here and put out the fact and just tell you all the fact that the best distro is the distro you make the best. Mental Outlaw was right there. Like, you could literally make your own distro and be the best in your own eyes. Not to say making your own distro is easy. Heck no, it isn't. Well, like, it's really up to you if you prefer an Arch distro or a Debian based distro. What about Debian based distros? Support, you got a really good support if you're using Ubuntu based distros. You got Ask Ubuntu forums on Stack Exchange that can really help you out, but I believe there's also plenty of good forums there, and you get a lot of resources out there. If you need help installing something, just do a Google search. Like, you're gonna find help anywhere you want out there if you need help on a Debian based distro, especially an Ubuntu based distro. It's same for Arch and Ubuntu. Arch and Debian based distros. I'd really put them head to head. Then you may wonder, what about Fedora? What about Red Hat based distros? What about SUSE based? Let me tell you something. The reason why I say Debian and Arch based distros are head to head with each other, in my eyes, and why I say that that both types are good for beginners, it's because they both have a lot of software. AUR is quite big. You'll find almost every single program that's on Linux in the AUR, well, a big majority of them, as well as that they're probably available as DB files on Ubuntu and Debian based distros. Ubuntu is Debian based, so there is a reason why people call Debian the grandfather of many distros. And fun fact, do you know Debian's the second oldest Linux distro that's still being kept afloat? First place is Slackware. Some of y'all didn't know that, so I thought I might throw that out there. Red Hat based distros, here's it. Where are you going to find half the RPM files? At least you can still get a lot of your basic things done. I think I am going to try out OpenSUSE in July. I'm going to use OpenSUSE for 30 days in July, which is not Red Hat based, but uses similar things to Red Hat. So I'm going to try that distro out in July. So if you want anything based on anything about SUSE or Red Hat based distros, I'm going to be trying OpenSUSE out. So maybe I'll get more insight on that myself. So I think it's about time for me to end this off. Like I said, I'd put Arch and Debian based distros head to head. They're not that far off stats wise, in my opinion. One's good for one purpose, and another's good for another purpose. They're both great for platforms to base distros off of, and they both have really good distros based on them. So that's my take. This Buildershed here. Hope to see y'all next time. See ya. If y'all like this type of content, make sure to drop a like. If you wanted to see more of this content, make sure to subscribe. If you don't like this content, or specifically this video, drop a dislike. And it'd be heavily appreciated if you were to also drop a comment explaining why you disliked the video and some issues, also known as constructive feedback. I'll see y'all next time. See ya.